Around the time BC became AD, a wise and disciplined man was born. He'd gone to have a book made about his teachings that's still relevant to this day. And of course I'm on about Seneca. His letters are some of the most transformative things that still hold up from the Stoics. It's written in a tangible, palatable way because Seneca, unlike the other Stoics, wrote for posthumous fame. He knew that his letters would be read, or at least he intended for his letters to be read long after he wasn't around. So compared to someone like Marcus Aurelius, who was just writing for himself, letters from a Stoic, they are a good introduction to Stoicism and the philosophy of being disciplined, wise, courageous, and in search of justice and temperance. So if you're looking for somewhere to start, let me give you some of his advice as a taster so you can really dive into the world of Stoicism. First of all, nothing, to my way of thinking, is better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop where he is and pass some time in his own company. It's very easy to be distracted by doing, by writing, reading, working, selling, hustling, talking, socializing, impressing as many people as possible, being the most powerful, well-rounded, or well-used version of yourself. But that is a good cover-up for not being your own friend, which is another thing that Seneca goes on about. You need to be your own friend before you can be a true friend to anyone else. So, in order to be able to pass some time in your own company, why not? Why not try and see what happens? Sit in the garden on a chair, no phone, no books, no conversation, just your own thoughts, as if you're meditating, and see where your mind goes, see what the conversation is. And if the things you're hearing aren't very nice, if the reflections you're having aren't very polite to yourself, then it's probably that you're not honest with yourself enough, that you spend too much time doing things for other people or to make yourself feel like you're doing something, that you're achieving things. But what does your heart truly say? Something I always come back to, I'm not really sure if it's a Stoic thing, but the idea that if no one saw you achieve or do what you wanted to do, would you still do it? Like, it comes across my mind every now and then that I should do a marathon, but if no one saw that I could do a marathon, would I do it? Probably not. It's just for this external validation and to be like, oh yeah, I've done a marathon, but I don't really care. I'd much rather do a video. I'd much rather do a long reading session or create something or give back to someone than just spend months of my life training for a marathon. Maybe if the world goes to complete garbage, being able to run a marathon will be useful. But until then, I'm just going to leave that to the people who want to do it. Okay, next up. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Someone that can find hospitality anywhere across the world and has no long-term settlement, can find a home in many places but has no real connections. If you're everywhere, you are nowhere fully. You are not building these strong, deep connections. You are with no one for their lows. You're only there for a week or two for highs and fun, but you're not there to experience the breakdowns, to make the strength, to strengthen the connections and to regrow as a group, pair, as a unit, to be this stronger thing and force going forwards. If you're traveling, you're only experiencing highs. If you're staying in one place, you have to deal with the downsides. You have to grow. You have to adapt to what is bad. And that's where true wisdom comes from. It's all good being able to jump from a spot to spot to spot so you'd never feel bad. But never feeling bad is bad. It's a very poor foundation. That one time when you jump from place to place and it doesn't make you feel good, you're going to feel awful when all of that wears off and the novelty is gone. And what you're truly after is someone that you could say you've spent the last 2 years growing with. but you can't if you're never in the same place. So to be everywhere is to be nowhere. To be somewhere fully is far more advantageous. This one is one that kind of hit me home. This one kind of made me realize that I'm not doing the best. A multitude of books only gets in one's way. So just don't look at this for this shelf. In the book, he goes on about how jumping from author to author is a waste of time, and you should really rely on the same few authors that exude a lot of value. So from my collection, I'd say Ryan Holiday, definitely one that you can keep pulling information from and going back to and rereading the same books and pick up something new every time. Malcolm Gladwell, probably another good solid one from the modern times. You wanted to go back, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Epicurus, those writers. Those are the ones that you'll get the everlasting value from, that you can keep rereading and getting new stuff every time you reread. Next, nothing hinders a cure as much as frequent changes of treatment. How many times are we dealing with an issue like, oh, I am not as fit as I'd like to be. Let me do a workout plan. You do it for 3 weeks and then you jump to a different workout plan. And then you do that for a month and then you're like, this isn't really for me. Let me change to another one. And then nothing really happens. You never dive too deeply into one thing. So you never truly get fit. Same goes for a lot of problems that we have. You're unfulfilled. You jump from Meditations by Marcus Aurelius to the Tao Te Ching to the Bible, looking for some sort of path to fulfillment and enlightenment. But because you keep jumping from thing to thing, nothing really sticks, nothing really comes through, nothing really stays and improves the situation. The only thing to stop hindering the cure is to find something you can truly get behind for a long time and keep doing it. Maybe you do it for 6 months and you need to change, but do it from a place of, I've done it, I've tried it for a long time, now let's try something else. Not, I've done it for 4 weeks, let's go try something else. If that makes sense. I myself, if you go back to, I don't know, was it like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? I started the 80-day obsession. That was on bad values. That was a mess. So now I'm just back to doing push-pull legs and a bit of cardio, because that's just more sustainable and enjoyable, and I can read on the treadmill or the stationary bike, which is much more fulfilling than jumping around and getting all sweaty in the living room before work every day. So find something that you can truly stick with, and then if it's not what you want to stick with, give it another month and then change. Don't decide you want to change and then give up. I know I did that with the 80-day obsession, but I went back to what I was doing. So that was tried and tested, and I went back to it. If that's not too hypocritical, I hope it's not. So here's one for all of you guys at the bottom, like me. A cheerful poverty is an honourable state, but if it is cheerful, it is not poverty. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Just being happy at the bottom is the best way to grow up to the top. Because if you can be happy at the bottom, you will take less when you're at the top. You will give back more when you're at the top. You know, make these videos for free from the bottom. Imagine what I could do if I was getting paid for this. Guys, we'd be having the best videos of all time. But until then, I'm going to have a great time making these videos for free and at no expense to you guys. So if you can find something like that, if you can be happy doing the mundane things at the bottom, then you'll be overjoyed when you get to do the fun things as you grow and you get higher towards the top. So just remember that, guys. Here's one that I found quite interesting, actually. What is particularly important to avoid? My answer is the mass crowd. That's the quote. So I kind of drew parallels with this one to in 1984 by George Orwell. There's a scene where the main character Winston is, I think it was some news about, I don't want to spoil too much, but there was some bad news, and then all of these people are just screaming. in the office, and our main character Winston is like, this is so stupid, this is so dumb, why are we all doing this? But then he finds himself shouting and angry, and with no real reason. He's thinking, this isn't what I want to do, but because the crowd is doing it, he's doing it. So yeah, what is particularly important to avoid? A mass crowd. Who has been in a crowd and done things that you don't want to do? You know, look at football fans. They are crazy. But to say that every single one of them wants to be throwing beer cans, screaming, shouting is just untrue. I imagine a lot of them are just being swept up in the crowd. And yeah, try to avoid that. What I wrote here was, this is one of the things that Orwell said. Yeah. So Orwell made me feel that and realize the issue of the crowds, but Seneca just helped me avoid it and articulated it better. It is important to avoid the mass crowd. Next up, we should not keep silver plate with inlays of solid gold, but at the same time, we should not avoid. We should not keep. Right. Next up, we should not keep silver plate with inlays of solid gold, but at the same time, we should not imagine that doing without gold and silver is proof that we are leading a simple life. This is something that kind of resonates with me because I don't buy clothes very often. I bought this t-shirt, £8, and that was like the most I've spent on clothes this month. So yeah, I don't partake in much of the materialistic things in this world, but that doesn't prove I'm living a simple life. And that kind of hits for someone like me. I can imagine for a lot of people on the journey of growth, you give up materialistic things as a way of proving that you're living a simpler life, but that alone doesn't prove anything. If I can't focus on a single book because I'm just jumping from book to book to book to book, that doesn't prove. That's not a simple life. A simple life, I would pick up one and stick to it. A simple life, I could have a conversation with someone without thinking about what book I'm going to read next, what I'm doing after this, what I'm going to have for dinner. A simple life, a good life, would be to solely focus on one thing at a time, regardless of what clothes you wear, what car you drive, how nice your house is, how nice your things are. That doesn't matter. If you can balance it, that's great. Sleeping on the floor is not a sign of good virtue, but sleeping in a £10,000 bed is just as far the opposite. We shouldn't waste. I'm trying to articulate what he said, but it's pretty difficult, this one. Mainly because I'm a sucker for a book and a coffee. Just because you abstain from something doesn't mean you are living a simple life. I don't drink either, but that doesn't mean I'm the pinnacle of health. I do like cappuccinos with chocolate on top. So it's the balance, really. It's what he goes on about. To be fully about speed and efficiency is no way to live, but neither is being so lazy that nothing ever happens. It's about this balance. So maybe I won't drink, but I'll have a Coke. And if you ask Facebook, I'm pretty sure a Coke is probably like the worst thing you can have. But here I am anyway, and I'm still living, for now. Anyway, a wise man feels his troubles, but overcomes them. It is not that he doesn't feel them, which is an Epicurean belief. It's that bad things happen, but you are so above it that you don't feel it, which is, you can try that, but it's very difficult and you don't feel very good. You know, I've done that when I thought that's what Stoicism was. But as Seneca articulated better, the wise men of Stoicism feel their troubles, but they overcome them. You feel loss, you feel pain, you feel anger, but you control yourself. Something that they really go on about is putting distance between the event and your reaction. The longer you have to think about it, the more grounded, the more sound your response will be, which is something that holds up today. second to last one, the last one is really great. If he loses a hand as a result of war or disease, or has one of his eyes, or even both, put out by accident, he will be satisfied with what remains of himself, and be no less pleased with his body, now that it is maimed and incomplete, than he was when it was whole. But while he does not hanker after what he lost, he does prefer not to lose them. So for many of us, especially boys and men, as we grow, our hairlines, not what they used to be. Now, what I would prefer to not lose my hair. I will not be upset if it goes. I'm going to do my best and to make sure it doesn't go, but we shouldn't fear what life will be like afterwards. We should be content with what we have, especially if we can't change it. Our height, our hair, the fact that I have to wear glasses. I'm not going to worry about what I am now. I'm just going to take it and go on. I would prefer to have not had to be, I'm still lucky. That's still very good for compared to the average at the moment anyway. But can't spend your life fearing it. But you shouldn't be. Of course, I don't want to lose my hair, but I won't be upset if it goes. I wouldn't want to lose all my books, but I won't be upset if they go. If my hands are taken from me, I will still be content with what remains. And that's the main point. That you should be able to lose everything and be okay. When Seneca was afraid of Nero, the Emperor Nero, he gave him everything and retired and lived a quiet life for a few years, I believe. And if we could do that, if you could give up everything for a quiet life, for a better life, not even a guarantee of a better life, if you could give up everything, would you? It would be very hard, but maybe that's the goal. Maybe that's what we should all be aiming for, to be in a position to be satisfied with having everything stripped, and to be satisfied if we gave up everything. It's a lot easier to have it stripped than it is to be given up. So if you can get to a position where you could give up everything and still be as happy as you are right now, maybe that's the goal. At least I think it is for Stoics. Seneca's last and most powerful lesson that he doesn't really mention, I don't think, is that he spends a lot of his time reading what his enemy or his rival is writing. See, Seneca believes that the Epicurean way of living is different to his own, and it is different, but he spends, apparently, I've not counted this myself, but apparently in this whole book, the person Seneca mentions the most is Epicurus. So he spent more time talking about and reading and discussing Epicurus, his rival. And if we could all do that, we would all be far more well-rounded. I think that's probably Seneca's most powerful lesson, that is, you should read the opposite to what you've always read. Because if you just have everyone tell you exactly what you want to hear, you can read Atomic Habits, Deep Work, whatever, all these self-help books, and none of them will disagree with the other. They will all just kind of build slightly, and then once you've read about 5 to 10, they will start repeating themselves. And you're like, yes, this is great. These are great points. But you need someone to tell you the opposite of what you believe to truly have a balanced and grounded opinion. So if you've only read non-fiction, read some fiction that challenges what you want. I challenge anyone who's read the 48 Laws of Power, these, The Prince, fucking Can't Hurt Me, Deep Work, Mastery, all of these kind of finance bro books. If you pick up something like is it The Secret Library by Donna Tartt? It's like the most, it's like top 5 books for girls. It's always in there, I believe. Read that and then see what that does to your character, just as a thought experiment. Just truly pick something from the enemy, rival, competitors, bank of information, books, films, stories, ideals, methods, techniques, and just try it. Just dive into it for a little while and see what happens. Pick someone that you think is your rival or competitor, whether it's another business or if it's a different way of thinking. If you're religious, it's another religion. If you're soundly stoic, pick up something hedonistic. If you're super caring about the world and you're super eco-friendly, pick up The Prince by Machiavelli. And just see what the other side thinks. See what the other way of thinking is. And maybe walking the middle road is the more fulfilling, more grounded, more sound road. It's very fun to be the super extreme that upsets the other super extreme and drives the division and the wedge between the two groups further. But that's only going to be fun until something really kicks off. Maybe the grounded route where we can discuss things, where we understand, is the way forward for the rest of time. And Seneca knew this 2,000 years ago. So there's no excuse that we shouldn't know. I'm actually quite upset that this kind of knowledge isn't taught in school. Where would I be if I had read this book 10 years ago? Whew, who knows? But I'm here now, and I'm recommending that you read it. If you want me to do a part 2 about this book, please let me know in the comments. I'm more than happy to. I barely touched on maybe 1/5 of the lessons that are in here. And yeah, try to understand someone who thinks opposingly to you. And I will see you in the next video.